Hello, 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 everyone. It looks like you're already some people in the live. Thank you for joining early. My name is Rick Ramirez. I'm also known as Rick's Two Cents. Thank you for joining Shop Top Live with my fellow co-host Steve from Steve Makes Everything,
Hi, guys.
Andy from Andy Bird Builds,
Hello.
and Roger from Roger Shop and his better half.
Yeah, got the boss here with me tonight, so I got to behave.
So let's see here. Let's see what's already people are popping in. This will be 5 minutes simultaneous live streams. Yes, we're live on Facebook, Instagram,
YouTube,
well,
Certainly YouTube.
obviously.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
YouTube covered.
I stopped doing X or what are they? Twitter, because now it's like they want you to be a premium account in order to go live. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the Wild West too now, right?
Yeah.
Aloha from Hawaii. Hello, everyone. Please smash that like button. Thank you, Clayton. Thank you.
Welcome.
Clayton is in the house.
So Roger normally brags that his wife buys him these really nice shirts, and I have to say my wife bought me this shirt today, guys. So
Oh,
Ah.
yeah, she picks out the wardrobe, so that's where these come from.
Well, you win the award for best dressed. So
Certainly the most obviously dressed.
yeah. Yeah, so due to Roger's constant rubbing in our face, I've booked my own trip to Mexico, and I can't wait to what do they say? Ass in the sand, feet. How's that go? I'm gonna mess that one up. How's that
Toes
country
in-
song go?
Toes in the water, ass in the sand, cold beer in my hand.
There you
Roger's got it down.
go.
I practice that. Yeah, well, I'm looking at, in fact, a month from today, we will be in Mexico.
Nice.
Counting the days.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, she can't hear anything because I've got it all in my earbuds here, but she can see.
Okay.
Maybe she reads lips, so I don't know. Better be careful.
And you'll really be in trouble, that's for sure. But I know
So
people
what
have
you
been
guys do
asking
last
about.
week?
We kind of leaked some information that there will be an upcoming live. It looks like it's going to be probably in November, December, but we will be releasing the actual dates. But meanwhile, as people did say on our last week's lives, remember, if you're not subscribed to all our channels, no live. So I know Andy's later joined to us, but you have to be subscribed to this channel as well. What was also funny is that someone last week also mentioned that I was the one who they weren't subscribed to, so that will go back and forth. So, so make sure you show some love, and you don't want to be disqualified from winning a laser. So you're not scrambling the last minute when we start doing the live. Make sure you're already subscribers.
This is for the one I set up or started to set up. Sounds like you're running with it now.
Yeah, well, it's just that they started asking some crazy things. So I was like, hold on, pump brakes a little bit. Let's make sure. So we did say that, and I'm going to speak this for myself, not putting words in your mouth, but I don't accept sponsorships. Okay, so if you want to provide me with the product and you will accept me to give an honest review, then I'm good. But I won't say this is the reason when you watch my reviews, it doesn't have that thing saying this is a sponsor, because you're not paying me. Maybe I'm being compensated my time by the equipment behind me. I will say that, but you're not paying me to do the review, because then I also think that I'm obligated to say things you want, or I'm obligated to do things you want. Now, I don't have a problem with agreeing, like, hey, I'll cover these 5 topics, or I'll make these amount of videos. That's okay. That's a give and take. But I won't accept a sponsorship.
Yeah, it's
No,
why
I don't either.
I don't generally sign contracts either. Sometimes an NDA, like I have a couple of NDAs going, but that's different, right? That's
what are they?
for my NDAs.
Yeah.
Well, let me say, I can tell you one that I had signed in the past.
Well, I said it. People ask about all the time. They ask about Eon lasers all the time. They're like, what about the mirror this? What about Eon? I had a deal with Eon that I walked away. And the reason I walked away is because I wasn't going to sign a 2-3 year commitment. Like, how am I supposed to make content for 3 years on the same company? I mean, I have to be an employee at that point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't do contracts. And I think companies are like daring you to walk away from it. It's like, sayonara, like, see ya.
Right. Literally. So
this is interesting though. When you, I haven't accepted many. I've done a couple sponsored videos, but nothing major. It's all been smaller stuff towards the beginning, like just talking about lasers or anything like that. But when you start, the laser, the equipment review world is really interesting, because when you start, like, if this is your full-time job, like it is mine, you're like, the other side of it is like, you're darn right going to pay me if I'm going to talk about your product.
Yeah.
Your time, you start valuing your time differently.
Right.
And it's like, I'm still going to give it an honest review, but yes, you are going to pay me, because I currently cannot pay my mortgage with a laser.
Right. That's why I said it'd be different if I'm accepting an $8,000 laser on this side, and I'm accepting that as a review because it's going to compensate my time. But like early on when I first started off, it was like Amazon reviews, right? Like literally, like I get probably 100 of those a week now, and it's like delete, block, like, and I'm not being rude, but it's just like, it's not worth my time. Like,
yeah,
I
do the same thing.
Well, just a little while ago, I was offered to do a demonstration of silk socks.
Was it from Silky Sock though?
I don't remember what company. It was some Chinese company.
Okay,
But
because there's a guy, his name's Silky Socks. So I know you're into sublimation. He makes all kinds of apparel, clothing, underwear, socks, you name it, like anything to do with sublimation. Because most sublimation clothing sucks, like, right? They just flat out suck. They're not good quality. The t-shirts you can see straight through, like they're just horrible. And he makes really good apparel, and he also sells you the templates. So like, if but he makes socks. That's one of his things. And I guess like golfers are really into that. They wear the goofy socks.
Yeah.
So there's like certain niches that you could probably make a decent living, because people are goofy into that. You know what I mean?
Didn't quite fit my channel.
Yeah. Well, maybe they were working the sublimation angle, but they're working that angle on extreme. But they thought maybe you'd bite.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty selective about that stuff. I got one for some chair today, and it's like, great, it's an office chair, but who cares?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like one of the weirdest ones I've gotten. I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
The weirdest one I got was spices.
I've had some crazy ones.
I was like, So Carla, if it's the first time joining a live, thank you for joining on live. But this live is a live question and answer. So any questions that you would have to do with CNCs, to do with 3D printing, to do with laser engraving, this is the chance to get a lot of knowledge in one room at the same exact time and ask us questions, and we're here to answer. You got questions, we get answers.
Or if you want to know about, potions, pills, plants, and powder, we can fix you up there too.
That's actually pretty cool looking. I like that.
This is one of the signs real popular. We got a couple of them sitting here. This is the other one that we're selling quite a few of right now.
Seasonal.
Checking in for the first time here in New York. What's going on, New York in the building?
So hopefully nobody got dumped underwater in the last week down in
blown away
southeast there.
Yeah, blown away.
I did have a couple of my projects delayed because they're doing the assist. I forget what they call it. It's like assistant aid, where they send our guys out to help or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So all our overhead guys, some of our overhead projects got delayed because of that, but otherwise we're business as usual.
Yeah, it was interesting. I flew through Atlanta on Friday. We had to rebook our flight a couple times. We still got home at a decent time, but yeah, it was touch and go there for a second. But nothing, obviously, that's nothing compared to what Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina dealing with.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a double whammy, right? It's like the whole weather situation, so shipping delays, period, and then the union strike with the ports.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I said is that I posted this on Facebook, and I ruffled some feathers with this, and I said, look, 80% of everything being imported into our country comes in through California. I'm not saying no other port's important, but our country's not going to shut down. Like, we're still going to function. But the bad portion is they asked for a $25 an hour raise, $5 a year for the next 5 years. So
Steep.
right, that's huge, right? And hey,
Yeah.
I'm a union guy, so I'm not hating on any union brothers. So don't raise the torches any means. But what's going to happen is, if let's say a laser manufacturer, these printer manufacturers, someone who's doing routine shifts,
It sounded
they can reroute. So if they know that that's going to cause a problem, they're just going to avoid New York. They're going to go to California. California has a way better distribution center anyways once it gets stateside. So it may not be the shortest route to the States,
Right.
but once it gets stateside, they have railroad, they have all different kinds of options. So
Meanwhile,
it's just going to hurt them.
Meanwhile, Steve's over here and being like, hey, good luck with that.
No, actually, so this port strike is actually going to impact us too.
Is it?
Yeah, because especially for things like European cars and car parts, because they always stop on the eastern seaboard in the U.S. first, and then they come north. Like about, I don't know, 5 miles from me, there's the biggest parking lot you could ever imagine, full of brand new cars that come off the boat, and they won't be able to bring them off because they're somewhere down in the lower decks or something, I guess, and all the cars that should have come off before aren't coming off, right? So, and then there's they said vegetables, some fruit and vegetables from South America and Mexico. Those come in on boats. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Steve, you're not far from the coast then?
From the actual water, you mean? About 2 miles.
2 miles? Wow.
Yeah.
Jim said, hi, everyone. Steve, I use your position laser setup for my longer Ray 5. It's a game changer for me.
Sweet.
One issue that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't in Lightburn.
Well, the Lightburn shouldn't have anything to do with it. The only thing you have to do in Lightburn is calibrate it, and you're really calibrating Lightburn, not the pointer.
I guess be specific on what type of problems you may be experiencing.
Yeah.
So, Exotic Woods. That's a different channel. The Silver Fox has his OnlyFans. We try not to tend to talk to it, but they do overcross at times.
Some exotic wood. Yeah.
I don't honestly use any exotic woods. I use my to-go-to is cedar and pine. Just being honest.
Yeah.
I'm mostly walnut and cherry and maple.
What do you want to know about exotic woods?
Yeah,
Right.
let us know.
And we're talking about woodworking.
That's
can
not
talk
still,
about
Nick
woodworking.
still go down the wrong path with that one.
I spent the
Remember,
whole week doing
this is
woodworking.
Happy Hump Day. Some people don't come to ask questions; they just come to
Hang out.
to drink a couple beers, hang out, shoot the shit, and that's cool. So you might go down a rabbit hole you weren't expecting.
You never know.
Hey guys, do you guys have any plans on reviewing what is this?
The kitty.
It's a 3D printer.
Any thoughts on it?
I have not seen it yet. It hasn't been offered to me. I do have a kitty printer back in the corner behind me over here.
Yeah, I had one sitting on the floor here until I put it in storage a week or so ago.
Well,
I liked
Patrick,
it. I like
maybe I'll send this portion to
the
video.
one I have. Small.
I'll send this portion to the video of the manufacturer and say they need to send 4.
Sure.
See what happens.
Maybe you should send a message to Festool or somebody, because if Festool wants me to sign a deal, I'd sign a deal with them because I need some new tools.
You know what? You see these, and it's like you see some of these shops. They do like it seems like you start off as kind of like a reviewer, and then they become an established channel, and then they're more about making things, right? And then once in a while they highlight a tool, and they accept a review because it's like a high-end tool. Like if Krager Tools came to you like, hey, you want to sponsor? You're not gonna say no, right? Festool came to you, you're not gonna say no. You know what I mean? It's just like, but when you have these wood shops that they're building something and it's clearly like $1 million shop, it's like, dude, nobody has those tools, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, come on.
Yeah, there's one guy I follow on Instagram. He's out in Western Canada, And this guy has like every power tool you could imagine. And
Right.
he's got his shop is probably, I don't know, 6,000 square feet. Like it's
I mean, it's amazing to watch that kind of stuff,
yeah,
right?
this
Like,
is his job, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah. I mean, he's got all kinds of crazy tools, like a shaper. Like, what normal workshop that is making less than $1 million a year has a shaper?
Yep.
I actually have a shaper, but it's out in the back shed. I probably haven't used it in 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's. I mean, Rick could use one for his
Trim.
ex-president baseboard there, but
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well,
What do
my
you guys
router
think
table
about
does everything that shaper used to do, so I just don't use a shaper. It takes up a lot of room.
yeah.
Yeah. I wanted one, but yeah, it's expensive. And again, if I was a guy who did crown molding or custom trim, that's definitely a tool you don't.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I just couldn't justify the cost, you know. What do you guys think about the Fox Alien?
That's
I don't know how to say that. Pro CNC. I've emailed them a couple times. Like, yo, I haven't got a response back yet, but
Yeah, they actually approached me once, but I've heard good things about them. But it's another entry-level CNC. I'm sure they're fine.
Yeah, my experience is limited. I know a couple people that, like, just from emails or comments, that have a Fox Alien. I don't know if it's this exact model, but yeah, it's entry level. It's this particular. I just looked it up just to remind myself. Like, as it comes stock, it has that, like, what is it?
that's the 4x8, I think, right?
Oh no! This
No,
is like
4x4, right?
These are
Yeah.
small. I don't
These
even
are
think
small.
4x4, I think, right? Isn't it 4x4?
I think
No.
it's smaller than that.
Smaller
this
than that?
one in particular is, I'm looking at the specs right now, is basically a 24-inch by 24-inch.
Oh,
So 2x2.
Yeah,
And
it's a
it
good
looks like you
tabletop
can
CNC.
buy an extension kit. But yeah, I mean, it's just an entry level, belt driven. The stock spindle that comes with it is like
Is it a DC motor or is it that standard like 15-watt spindle?
Yeah, like the 1.5 kilowatt spindle.
Yeah, 1500 watts. Sorry.
Yep. That's what it is. Which is just, you're not going to do a whole lot with it, But
Entry level stuff.
Right. Yeah, just very entry level stuff. And the good thing about this, one thing I do like, is that it is upgradable. Like, you can upgrade to a trim router as your spindle.
Yeah. That's become pretty typical in that kind of mid-market.
To grow
the high end entry level ones, or you can generally do that. Like the Genmitsus too come with a mount for a trim router.
Nice.
Chris said hi from MA what's that? Massachusetts.
Wonder if any of
you done a video about the generation of the diode laser machines, meaning when there have been significant change to consider an upgrade.
I think the biggest change has been the move from class 4 to class 1. It's only enclosed class 1 lasers. I mean, that is really the way to go now, unless you actually have a use for a class 4 that's open.
Right. The other thing I think too is that the whole 5-10 watt thing is like done right now. They're the race to the top where it's like 40, 60, 70. Like diode lasers are trying to compete with CO2 lasers.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot more of these 60 and 70 watt ones, because they're starting to get into the same prices low end CO2 lasers, right? So
right, but
why would you buy a diode laser if you can buy a CO2?
Right. But what I'm saying is the entry level, like a Montport K40, even though it's a good laser, it's a smaller workspace. So the same price diode laser, a higher end laser, would have a way bigger workspace, especially with an extension rail kit.
Yeah.
But of course, now you're also getting to the material talk, right? You can't cut everything with a CO2. You can do it with a diode laser and vice versa, right? So
well,
depending on what you're cutting.
You can certainly cut everything a diode laser can cut.
You can't cut acrylic.
A CO2 laser can.
Right. No, I'm saying vice versa.
Oh,
you know?
yes. Yes. The only thing you really can't do out of the box with a CO2 is engrave, say, stainless steel. But
Right.
you can surmark it and do it if you need to. Or just keep a that stuff. Just keep a cheapy diode laser just for doing that.
Yep.
I've never done that before. With the marking spray, is it messy? Like what? No.
No. It's expensive though. Like
Okay.
how much was that can you just showed there? That's a big can.
Yeah, I bought 2 of them. They last pretty long. Let me look it up on Amazon real quick. It wasn't that expensive.
Yeah, the Surmark stuff is I don't know. It's like the limousine of those metal treatment sprays, and
now you only do this with a diode laser.
It says for marking metals, permanent high contrast black mark for CO2 fiber and YAG lasers.
YAG.
What is that? I never heard of YAG.
So it's a 1.06. I used to work on YAG lasers.
Oh, I guess you were right, Roger. That is pretty expensive. It was $49.95 this can.
Yeah, that stuff's pricey.
It's not spray paint. Let's say that.
Okay.
So I had 2 cans. So damn, I have $100 in cans just sitting right there.
Yeah, and a can of Surmark, actual genuine Surmark that's that size would be well over twice that.
Yeah, see?
Really?
Yeah.
I need to get in this.
Yeah, this is Brilliant Laser Inks.
At that point, you consider buying maybe a UV laser, and then you can mark everything.
Okay, so I just looked on Amazon, and there are some cheaper options.
Yeah, but it's not worth it.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Cheaper is because they don't work as well.
They don't work.
Okay.
Yeah, so the one is the Brilliance
Brilliance or the Surmark.
Yep.
Yeah, the Surmark right here is $92 for a 7-ounce can.
Yeah, so
That's
this is 12 ounces.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it works.
Yeah, I've only ever used the Surmark stuff.
Yeah.
Not that I can
just
throw money around, but that's all that was available when I bought my can. They last forever though.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. I bought 2 cans because I wasn't sure how much it was gonna use, and
Yeah.
So what scenarios would you do that?
Only to mark stainless steel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that point, for the price of one of those, you can buy your $99 5-watt cheapy laser and mark.
There you
go.
If you had it in there, you were just gonna send a job. You could have it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's a video. There's a thumbnail for you. A video. You could buy the cheapest laser on Amazon, or this can of spray.
Yeah, which is better, this can or this laser?
Hey, neighbor Steve from New Brunswick.
Hey. Whereabouts in New Brunswick? There's only like 3 places you can live there.
So Roger, they're asking, does your partner make science craft items, Roger?
She used to. She used to do craft shows way back, as I did, way back. But anymore, if, for example, if something needed to be painted and it has, let's say, finer detail than this, I can't do it. My hand isn't steady enough, but hers is. So then I give it to her.
Did you paint that after you cut it?
Pardon?
Did you paint that after you cut it?
Yes.
Oh.
Wow, that's good. And see, and I'm not picking on any crafters.
Yeah. See, I have the same problem with artistic ability, especially with paint. So I would paint it all first and then cut it out.
Right. So I'm not picking any crafters. Last week we actually had somebody who was kind of maybe intimidated by us and saying, "Oh, they're just a crafter," And I says, "No, like we all kind of collectively said we respect that 100% because we just to go in that fine details, like these craft people that make these Christmas ornaments, like, oh my God, like You are not making money. There's no way, because it's just like you got to put some hours in to make it look like that. Or they have a system for sure, maybe, but
Well, I'll give you a sneak peek
they go
on
to
something I'm
town.
working on. Something I'm working on here that's going to be different. This is laser engraved with diode laser, and it's engraved 7/32 of an inch deep on
Okay.
this piece of cedar. I'm going to fill that not with epoxy, but with ceramic, colored ceramic.
Okay.
Do you have to
And
heat it?
it might, no, you don't need to heat it. It's a ceramic powder you buy that mix to mold is what it's called. And I picked some up today, and I'm going to try that, and it'll either work or it won't work. But
Nice.
you know, a lot of people would do something like this to fill it with epoxy,
Right.
you know, colored epoxy. I want to try this colored ceramic.
Is that like powder coat?
No, it's a powder you mix with water, and then you add your pigment to it, and you've got about. I liken it to working with fiberglass because I do a lot of fiberglass work with boats, and that it kicks in about 8 minutes. So you got a very short working time,
Oh,
and
wow.
then in an hour it's cured hard, and then you know if you were to put it in a mold, you could take it out of the mold. It's fully cured then in 48 hours.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to try, see if it works. It's supposed to be sandable, so I'm going to find out. Nobody's that I have seen has ever tried to do that. A lot of people make little pots and little figurines and stuff out of it, but I looked at that when I was in Hobby Lobby today, and I thought, I wonder how that'd work on wood. So I'm going to find out.
So I make a lot of those memorial, like especially for Day of the Dead's coming up. You know, they put all these flowers, real decorative flower boxes in front of the headstones, and I've been wanting to. The other reason I want to do the coasters, but wasn't necessarily for the drinks, is I wanted to do people's faces on the coasters, and then do an inlay and set that slate coaster into the wood, and seal that. So that's my next upgrade on that build. But those builds are pretty profitable for me, and those customers always bring me customers. So
I need a CNC now.
I have one. I just need to put it together.
No,
What
say
do
you
have?
know this here that I did. Like I said, went 7/32 deep on a laser. I could have done that on a CNC too, but the laser was actually faster.
Yeah. I started down the CNC path and been experimenting with some exotic woods. About to try out some Wenge wood. Any suggestions?
Wenge?
Wenge.
So you got to be careful when you're CNCing some of these exotics because the dust coming off of them can be a real irritant. Wenge is one of them. There are lots of people who are kind of intolerant to it.
As I found out.
Yeah, you don't normally get too much dust off a CNC if you're doing things the right way, but once you start sanding it after, you might get some dust kick up. So wear a mask if you're using any exotics.
Yeah, Wenge is really hard, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking about that right one?
Yep.
Extremely
Really coarse grain.
Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the hardest woods that you machine.
I think it's just one step below lignum vitae.
It's pretty hard. I've CNC'd it though.
Yeah, you definitely can. Did you take any precautions? Like, let's compare that to like walnut or something.
Well, you have to go slower. Yeah, because it tends to chip, right? If you need sharp tools and like sharp bits, and you got to go fairly slow.
Yeah. So Steve's basically saying when he's gay, he goes slow.
When gay. That's we have to be open-minded and diverse on this channel.
I'm just kind of make people laugh. I've used the CNC and I'm dying to learn about 15 3/4 by 15 3/4, but I can't get an extension kit.
Yeah, he's referring to the Fox Alien. Back to the Fox Alien. I mean, here's the thing. Entry level, like the Jimitsu or Fox Alien, like that level, entry level CNC. Like if you can't, here's what you're balancing. you're probably you'll be able to get into it, learn if you don't know anything about CNC at this level, but you are really going to be limited on what you really can do. And I'm hesitant to send people this way, like as a jump in point, because especially when like they're watching one of my videos and they see what I do, like you can't do any, it's hard to do anything other than graving, or you can do some shallow cuts, but it's just really, really slow. So I've actually, but you're balancing that with a higher budget. So if you can't get to the higher budget, even save a few bucks, then, and that's your only way into CNC to see if you like it, then I get it. But the Fox Alien and the Jimitsu, like they're not going to have much resale value at all. You're pretty much eating that, to where if you got well, I'm trying to think, long mill, that's probably the next step. Shapeoko, Onefinity, something like that, more expensive, but those have a resale market. Like
the behavior I've noticed with some of these low end ones is they actually kind of put people off of CNCs because they get it and go, "Well, is this all a CNC can do?" And then they just kind of put it aside. And I'm thinking specifically the 3018 size ones.
Yeah.
Like I know a couple of people who've gotten them and said like CNCs are stupid. Well,
yeah.
No, that one is just not the one, right?
Yeah, they extrapolate that experience to all CNCs.
Yes,
and that's not the case. So I know, like, but and see what I'm trying to say is like that it's like a balance, right? Like if you don't know if you're gonna like it, is that a good experience? I don't know. I think a better experience is to find a makerspace, or to find a buddy or find somebody that has a local one where you can check it out and then be like, okay, yeah, I want to save my money for this because this is cool.
I think that's a great suggestion, and they're becoming more and more common. Yeah. So especially when
you'll find people in a makerspace who can use the tool as well, right? In their experience, so they can amp you up pretty quick.
Yeah, one thing that's often overlooked is this. I talk about this, but is the software aspect of those lower end machines. You know, what are you going to run with the Fox Alien? It's based on GRBL, but are you going to buy Vectric? I mean,
no. Okay, it's going to cost like 3 times as much as your CNC.
So Andy, step back, because somebody may not even understand what that even meant. So explain what you mean by that.
That's a good point.
However, Andy, you may buy Millmage when it's available.
Yeah. So do you want to step back and just explain that?
No, that's a great point. So, you know, the software aspect, you actually need two separate. It's not two softwares to operate to be able to operate a CNC machine. You need the CAD side, CAD and CAM, and then you actually need like the control software that reads the G code. And so a lot of so Shapeoko, the one I'm most familiar with, they have Carbide Create, which is you set up your vectors, set up your tool paths, and then you post process to your machine control, which is Carbide Motion, and that's how that system works. So when you buy let's say a Fox Alien, they don't have their own software that I'm aware of.
No.
So you have to figure out the software aspect, the CAD side of things, and the CAM side of things. Someone was asking me, it was somewhere, if Jimitsu had a post process, if Vectric had a Jimitsu post processor, and I'm pretty sure they do.
I've used VCarve with a Jimitsu, and I picked just some generic Gerbil post processor, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can create your own post processor. It requires a little bit of, almost software development experience, but you can do it. but
may have
by
unfair
default,
advantage in that,
by default,
I couldn't.
Genmitsu
It's a
comes
software
with
developer, that's why I
Candle
said he may have
and
unfair advantage.
what's the other one? The G code sender one.
Yeah, G Sender, which
Well,
is
G sender's the one from
Long Mill.
CNC Lab, right?
Yeah.
That one's actually really good. And I mean, if anybody's not buying some kind of toolpath executor, we'll say, like the output side of Vectric, I would say get that one. It's free. It's open source. It works really, really well. Better than certainly all the other ones that I've seen that are the free open source ones.
Is there a free CAD CAM software out there?
Well, there's what's the? I mean, I would use Fusion and generate essentially an STL file, right?
Yeah,
but you can use there is an open 3D CAD tool, and I have it installed on my machine here. Just hang on.
So the Jimitsu
So
Pro is
they're
the
out there.
machine I'm using. Get the 300-watt upgrade.
Yeah, the spindle upgrade.
Definitely, yeah, powers everything.
I'm running an Omtech marking spray currently on brass. I'm sorry. Seems to work well. It's cheaper. I'm
With
sure it's
what
probably a
kind of-
rebranded.
With what kind of laser? A CO2 laser? Oh, there is a spray specifically for brass.
Yeah.
Coal Creek, Nebraska.
You can also use chalk paint with dial lasers to glass etch. AZ, hello. Does the Brilliant spray work well on glass Christmas ornaments? I haven't done that.
No, I haven't tried it either, especially as the glass is so thin on those.
There's a glass spray as well. Do you have the glass spray too, Rick?
I'm trying to read the directions.
Because they make one for stainless steel, one for glass as well. The glass one I think is cheaper too.
It says for industrial use only.
Oh wow, what's it doing in your basement then?
I told my Mexican, not Mexicans, so we're getting it done. It doesn't have a whole lot. It basically says you need help. Use the QR scan. The back is more like a legal jargon they can't get sued.
Yeah, you can check their website. They'll have there's 3 or 4 different ones they have.
Hey Nancy.
Hey.
How's the new CO2 going? Happy hump day.
Steve, did you find that CAD cam?
You got distracted here.
How's your wife doing, Steve? Quack said, LA Puri, it works well with glass, but settings can be tough to nail down.
La Pierre?
I was going to say, do you want to pronounce it, Steve?
Well, I'm not French. You do understand that, right?
Yeah, I know. It's what did I say? An assumption with Canadians. You're all French.
Oh, sure. We all play hockey too.
Yep. Thanks, Steve.
Oh, of course. It's what would you call a free CAD tool?
Free CAD?
Free CAD. Yeah. There's
That's
also things like what Tinkercad. There's a couple of other ones.
I played with FreeCAD for a while, and it's got a hell of a learning curve, though.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It doesn't work the way most people think. But you use Carvera, right?
I use Carvco.
Carvco.
Yep, I'm one of the
another
weird
tool that works the way most people don't think.
Chris said, Roger, do you buy any filament dry or is it gimmick.
It is absolutely not a gimmick. I'm going to switch cameras here. Back in the corner over there are 3 filament dryers. And they get used all the time. One of the worst things you can have is wet filament because they'll either snap on you while you're in the process of a print, or you'll get little bubbles and artifacts in your print. Because if your filament contains a lot of moisture, as it goes through that hot end, that moisture turns to steam and it'll make a little bubble or a pop.
So is it from the humidity in the actual room itself that's actually kind of like resting on the material, or do you think it just flat out comes that way and it
just absorbs it out of the air? Nylon's really bad, but yeah, PLA will absorb moisture. In fact, if you have some parts sitting out that fit together with a close tolerance when you first made them, and you leave them out in an area where there's a lot of humidity, or you actually got them wet, you may not get them put back together again until you get them dried out.
Clark said, I ran V-Carve desktop on the Jimitsu 4040, then moved to the 6050 Pro.
Yeah, the V-Carve desktop has a size limit, right? So I don't know. I guess, Clack, you can't run it on the 6050, right? So you have to upgrade.
LP4 is what I'm using.
Was the Laser Pecker 4? He was talking about engraving brass with the spray, I think, maybe.
Yeah, it's the laser. Well, the Laser Pecker 4 is an IR, or is it no? They don't have a fiber.
It's trying to scroll up to see his original question.
Yeah, it was the brass thing.
Yeah,
okay.
It's a. I think it's a 20 watt diode, 2 watt IR. Does that make sense?
Yeah, probably.
I think that's what it is.
So I'm interested in I don't even know how to say this.
Milmage.
Lightburn is very intuitive and easy to use. Hopefully they transfer that to Milmage. What is that?
Milmage is Lightburn's CNC tool.
Okay.
I can't talk about it, but I actually have Milmage running, and it works like Lightburn.
So it's made by Lightburn?
Yeah.
Or it's like Lightburn. It is made by Lightburn.
Yeah.
Nice.
We found one of the NDAs.
There you go.
I don't think I signed an NDA with them, actually.
Onshape is great. Free 3D CAD program. It's paramic and works great sending STLs, 3MFs, DXFs, and step files for my Bamboo 3D printer.
I played with Onshape. I like it. It's different than Fusion, so I didn't put a whole lot of time into it. But one of the things it does really nicely is if you want to do a slice of something, like you take a 3D shape and you want to slice it in half, it's really easy with Onshape. Or fuse 2 halves together.
Steve said his wife is doing better. Thanks for asking. Glad to hear.
All right.
Yep, good deal.
Andy, have you gotten your 510 up and running yet? I got my Avid up and running, but between having weird bugs and learning curve switch from one simple Onefinity to a Corn.
Yeah. So first, no, I have not. I had to send. Long story short, the spindle. I think I might have shared that a while ago.
Is that the one where the cord was cut, so you had to?
Yeah. My wireless spindle.
Yeah. Kinetic energy.
Yeah. So I had to send it out, and they repaired it, and I got a shipping notification. So my spindle should be here. I think they said Monday, so that's exciting. Nice. And then I'm also getting the new upgrade. So. Avid is switching from Mach 4, which is their control software that they use, to I just forgot the name of it, Centroid, and Acorn is part of that. They call it. There's a part of it called Acorn as well, but it's a Centroid system. And so since I have it all torn apart, I was like, well, I might as well upgrade it now. And
so it's a board upgrade.
Yeah, electronics. electronic upgrade. You can actually upgrade even stepper motors and everything. You can go crazy. I didn't do that. I'm still running the same stepper, same motors, and yeah, so just the brain basically. And so I am gonna have to learn a new. So to his questions, I have not learned that Acorn operating system yet. I've heard it's different than little different than Mach 4, so I'm gonna have to learn that myself next week.
Nancy said, so I put it on the back burner because it's time consuming, and I got an order for 118-inch door rounds with 5 interchangeable pieces. So basically 500 2-layer pieces and hand painted.
Yeah, that'll keep you busy.
You need more
Whatever
hands.
You might need to recruit Roger for that one.
No.
Oh, you missed the best part. There's a deadline.
Deadline
Yeah.
10/11. So I'm just going to be wrapping up my Halloween probably, hopefully next 2 weeks, and then I shift to Day of the Dead. But yeah, those are my seasonal items, as you would call it. Are you able to cut 6mm plywood with the Recreate 20-watt laser?
Yes.
Sure.
Easy answer.
Both
I don't
ways.
know about you guys, but I've been noticing a ton lately in my area on Facebook Marketplace, like tons of CO2 lasers for sale.
Used
Tons.
ones?
Yes, but like new. And I even emailed a couple people, not poking, I'm not kicking people while they're down, but I asked them, like, hey man, because they're in my town. I didn't realize like there's actually like a Eon, like laser brand spanking new. And I'm like, why are you selling this? And
Well,
they said
off the
that they
truck.
made the assumptions they could basically, and this is like from like 5 people, that they could just start an Etsy store and start selling, right?
Oh,
And then I saw almost immediately after I was messaging them, and I'm not going to kick someone down and make them a low ball offer, but I was just curious, and then I saw Andy right after that one of your videos that said, when you create an Etsy listing, create 10 listings for the same item. And I was actually going to bring that up to you, and what are your thoughts on that, if you don't mind sharing?
I've got a lot of thoughts on this. My first thought is so I'm not I'm not the gatekeeper to Etsy or anything, but it is so common, and it hurts me that people believe this, that I can buy a laser or I can buy a CNC and I can print money with it, and I just put things up on Etsy and they magically sell. That is not true. It's not true at all.
Not true.
I've been fighting that battle for such a long time. Like, I don't know. It just hurts me to see people do that. You spend thousands of dollars and then you're disappointed. I want people to have good experiences with CNCs.
You do. Hopefully none of us has caused this behavior, right? Like,
Yes.
Right.
buy a laser and magic will happen. Because I'm always very cautious about that kind of thing. I mean, I'm happy to talk about the business, and I know you've done quite a few videos too, Andy, on your channel about the business. And never in there do I say money falls from the sky. Like, no matter what, it's hard work.
For sure.
And it's even harder, I would say, in the laser business if you're trying to target Etsy, because then you have multiple jobs. You've got to be a designer. You have to be a laborer to cut out all the pieces. You have to be a salesperson, a marketing person. It's hard.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, it comes back to, I'm just like you. I actually have a series that I do a couple videos a year where it's like the reality of CNC. And like, I draw a very clear picture of like, look, this is what, like, just to get set up, these are all the things you have to consider and decisions that you have to make before you get to selling anything. And I've heard it so many times. People say either, like making stuff on the laser or making stuff on the CNC router is the easy part. Selling is the hard part.
Yes.
And that is so true.
So,
well, especially the problem is the personality and skill set that makes really good designs is absolutely the opposite of the skill set for a good salesperson, right?
Yes.
So would you mind sharing on the whole 10 thing, or is that something you're sharing?
Yeah, it's in my course, but it's fine. I can share. I don't
Even
mind
if it's a limited amount, so maybe they'd actually want to buy the course then or something.
Yeah,
like that.
so
Gives me insight.
I'll name drop my course, the CNC Side Hustle, and it's where I, from start to finish, it's focused on CNC router mostly, but the same principles apply. But I have 3 modules in there that are 3 videos in there dedicated to Etsy. It's like 3 hours deep dive on Etsy, and but I've shared this on YouTube before too. This is where you saw it. It was probably a short, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or on
yeah.
Instagram or something. Yeah. Okay, so one of the strategies on Etsy, this is an advanced strategy that more people need to be doing, and it's to capture more traffic. So you take your product and whatever it is, and you create duplicate listings of it. Same product, change the lead picture, and for each one, you're going to change the lead picture, you're going to change the title, and you're going to change the keyword or the tags. And it just gives you a much wider net to cast out to get traffic. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people get caught up on like, well, my Etsy store looks weird and it's going to turn people off. No, it looks more weird to have one product in there. And if you go to you can test it out for yourself. You can go to any Etsy store that has over 1,000 sales, and they're using this strategy. They might have 5 products or 10 products that they actually sell, but there be 100 or 200 listings in that store.
So I'm not knocking anyone on Etsy because obviously, clearly, people make a ton of money on Etsy. But I personally just never had a ton of success with Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
My thing has been Facebook, and I think that's just because of my followings. Like I post it online, and I sell out most of the time. So that's been mine. And it maybe just that's just been my success. With Facebook. And I think it's because like I post on almost every single laser, woodworking, all that, but with my own name, with Rick Ramirez, not Rick's 2 cents, because I can't post on most of those groups with the Rick's 2 cents Facebook account because it's like a group, or you can't post.
Mm-hmm.
They restrict those, so then people start following you. So if I go make a pumpkin thing and I post it on Facebook, I'll get 200 messages, and most of the time they're gone. So
Yeah,
thank God, that has been my success rate marketing Facebook. And
Yep.
I have done some Facebook Marketplace, but like we've talked about before, Facebook Marketplace to me is like when you can't get rid of it, like, damn, I got 10 of these left,
Yeah.
Then you throw it on Facebook Marketplace. But I'm not saying I wouldn't want Etsy, but I just seem like, to me, Etsy, like the guys who are like killing it, they're using ads. And I think that's the only way to be at a level playing field. Like they're spending you got to pay to plays and that kind of thing.
Well, for us, we are highly successful on Etsy. It's our number 2 income stream, right below our website. And then number 3 is Amazon. And then number 4 is eBay. And we're liable to drop eBay pretty quick. Everybody thinks it's a yard sale.
So Roger,
that's interesting. Real quick, your website is your number 1 income stream. How are you driving traffic to your website?
We have a high SEO rating.
Okay.
The website's been up for years.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a high SEO. So that I don't work on advertising anything. I've got way more business than I want, really, as it is. So we get emails all the time. Oh, you will up your SEO, we'll redesign your website and get you more business and more customers. And I just reply back, I don't want any more. I got enough.
I just
can't
delete
handle
those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Roger, are you be honest, if you don't mind sharing, are you using ads? Is that a
Yes.
make or break situation for success?
On Etsy, yes, we use ads.
Yeah.
And we have I'm not going to say how much we do there a year, but it is a lot.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I think what I've learned with Etsy is, and I'm speaking just candidly, we have on our Etsy store, we have right around 500 sales. and we just run it part-time. It's not our full-time thing. The lanterns are sold on there. It's not my main income stream. It's income stream. It's my wife and me. We kind of do that on the side. That's just what it's turned into over the years. But the running ads, yes, on Etsy. But it's harder, and you have to be savvier, and but it's possible to still do well on Etsy without ads. There are so many strategies. All right, I'm gonna drop a nugget here of someone who I follow who is very smart. And her name is Dylan Jaharis. Jaris. I follow her on Instagram. She has an e-commerce background. She worked for Zappos and Amazon, I think, and then she quit. And she she's done like $1.5 million on Etsy in the last couple of years, and she just knows her stuff. But so follow her, DYLANJAH, something like that. Jahar. I'm gonna look it up now.
I got it.
And I know I'm not name dropping. I just told you to buy my course, and now I'm telling you someone else, but this is a free nugget, right?
No, but what do they always say? A great mentor always has a mentor, right?
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
here I'll drop her.
Iron sharpens iron.
And I haven't taken her. She has a course. I haven't taken her course. I just follow her on Instagram, and she has a lot of great tips, and a lot of great things. So, yeah, Etsy. So the interesting thing is, actually, I have a video coming out Sunday about this. It's Etsy. It's basically comparing Etsy versus Shopify. I know that may seem a really odd comparison to someone that's advanced and has done it a while, but there's a lot of basic entry level people that do not know the difference between the two. And so it's a beginner video, but Etsy solves the biggest problem when you're trying to sell the things that you make. And it's traffic. Like when you're starting from zero, I mean, online, they have the trust. They spend, I don't know how much their marketing budget is, but millions or billions of dollars a year to market themselves. I mean, they run TV commercials. Etsy is known as like the place to get, handmade, unique items. And, so they're leveraging that. But it's anything that's, I say this over and over again. Last thing I'll say here is anything that's easy to get into is going to have high competition.
Right. And the only reason that I mentioned that is because time and time again, I mean, just YouTube, Facebook, the gurus, right? The know-it-alls. The first thing they're saying is that $100 to $1,000 ad campaigns, and someone who's let alone just starting out, they save their pennies just to get equipment to buy something. They have this wishful thinking idea that I got it now, and this is their savior to all their financial problems. I'm just going to throw it on Etsy, and I'm going to hit the ground running, and this soon is going to allow me to quit my full-time gig, and I'm going to work from home, be able to spend time with my kids. And then that doesn't happen, and then you have these established stores you're trying to compete with, and you're like, well, if you spend $1,000 a month, you'll be able to compete with them. So then that is really discouraging, and I think that's what some people they're not doing their homework really well. And I can pride ourselves and say that none of us are pump and dumps. I'm totally against pump and dump. People who raise a product. Here's the the affiliate, go buy it, and then they're on to the next. We're kind of we're carrying our followers along with us along the ride.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's ever bigger, better product, it's because it is bigger, better, right? It's not that this is the best thing you can buy. The next thing is this is the best thing you can buy. It's because this is better than the other one, and so I would say that collectively, who's on this live, that I've invited to this live, and this live has grown, established itself, because I respect each and one of your guys' opinions, and I wouldn't stand on a platform if I didn't have somewhat of the same level of mentality, or thinking of you guys, because each one of us, our opinion or anything we say out of our mouth, even I'm being a wise ass sometimes, reflects us all, So yeah, I think we're really true and honest to the people that follow us and watch us. We're not misleading anyone any way at all.
Yeah,
So
all
my
you can do is
dream,
try, right?
yeah, right. My dream is to figure out a way. This is a dream. I don't know if it's achievable, but it's on my radar. Is to figure out a way to solve this exact problem, Rick. Like where someone can buy a machine, learn how to operate it, make, they're adequate at making things, and where the selling process is easier. Now, I've got different ideas, for that. Like, do I go out and get the work and then just have like fulfillment, and have people with machines just fulfill these orders, right? Or, I don't know. It's interesting, but if that's what I literally, that's what Andy Bird Builds has become, and like figuring out ways to make this process easier, to that people have success to sell the things that they make now, and that looks a million different ways. I know thousands of people that are doing it, and most of them, every one of them, is doing it a different way than the other one, right?
Yeah.
So there's no one size fits all.
I would say the people that at least I personally see that are highly successful, is because they have an item that sets them apart from someone else, right? Like, I would say this stupid mountain thing that I see everyone on YouTube saying, you should sell these mountains, right? And you're going to make thousands of dollars. And I can't believe it. On Facebook, people are like, I made 50 of these mountains. They're not selling. And it's like, why does everyone keep making these YouTube videos to say these mountains?
Yeah.
They're going on Etsy and they're showing you things that are selling, right? But like, if you were the first, okay, you're a trendsetter, I get it, right? But like now there's 50 people selling these little wood things. It's like $3 wood for $75. Good luck, right?
Yeah.
But
Even
go ahead.
Even if you are a trendsetter, though, you have to keep going, right?
Right.
Like,
that's my point.
Like you said, everyone has a mentor, right? And
Right.
one of the guys I talk to on a regular basis, that's his mentality, right? He made a fairly good living turning shaving brushes and peripherals around that. But he said the second you make something and it starts to succeed, you got to start making something else, because I mean, you see Etsy, and I don't know, like, I'm sure you're the same way I am, Andy. You can look at something that's been CNC'd on Etsy and you can go, oh, yeah, I can make that in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, if you have any design skill at all, there's no sanctuary on Etsy, right? Because somebody will eat you alive.
Paul said, I failed on Etsy, eBay, etc., but found my customer business to business.
Awesome.
It's also a lot easier to make 100 of something than just one item.
Yeah, we do a lot of B2B here. Suggestion for somebody that maybe you just got yourself a little laser and I know Steve hates to hear about coasters, but if you go to a high-end bar, I don't mean the drop in. I mean some place that's high-end where they have like designer martinis and that type of thing. They're interested in slate and ceramic coasters with different designs on them, their bar name on them. And a lot of the places don't care if anybody steals them because it's advertising for them. Another place to look to is real estate agents, especially the ones that are like more successful. They just love things like cutting boards and keychains, key fobs. I mean, things you can make quick and cheap on your laser. They get their name on them, and the homeowner gets a gift. And
and this is I've done several videos on exactly these things, right? And yes, coasters. I'm talking about like making a set of 4 coasters for everybody's living room. That's not realistic. But for a bar, right? If you're going to make, who knows, like 300-400 coasters a year for a bar, yeah, right. I'll make those.
Yeah.
And we had one thing change with one particular bar. They didn't want it to be a ceramic tile coaster. They wanted it to actually be the ceramic wall tiles to use in the bathrooms. And I did hundreds of those. The fact that I got tired of it, I was doing so many of them.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, you want to pronounce this name?
Which name?
Jeffrey LaPierre.
I wanted him to say
No,
it.
because if it was Pierre, it would have 2 R's.
I'm not French or Canadian.
Well, I am only one of those, so.
All right, Jeffrey said I got banned from Etsy. Said I broke a policy rule in the security selection, so they couldn't tell me what the rule was. It was secure. Never could get my head wrapped around that one. You might want to talk to Roger because Roger gets all kinds of violations.
Mostly people coming after me for copyrights.
Yeah.
Even had one person come after me. I think I shared it here a while back.
Yeah.
Copyright on a photograph. Said that was their photograph, and I copied it, and they're going to sue me. It was my house. I had fun with that one.
Hey, V.
Hey, V.
Clack said 17,000 sales on Etsy and never shipped. Never shipped.
Well, electronic or downloads.
Designs.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I don't sell a ton on Etsy, but almost everything I've sold on Etsy is designs.
Digital.
And I'm just the opposite. I have no designs up there. Everything's a tangible object, and we ship thousands and thousands of packages a year.
That's how you say it. Peer.
Says
Peer.
AGG 9900. I grew up in a small town in northwest Iowa. A young man started making fishing leaders in his garage. His business grew so large, he started hiring some makers to make them for him, and he paid them.
The local outsource.
Yeah, I love
it. They're probably Mexican.
I'm reading. I'm reading Clack's next post.
Yeah.
Steve hates coasters.
I don't hate coasters. What I hate is doing an hour's worth of work and making $1.
Yes.
Every time Roger brings up coasters, you get this face. You're like,
yeah. Now, if you're making the thing is, if
I
you're
even do the
coasters,
little sublimated ones.
Yeah, those are nice, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
If you're making coasters for, say, a business, so they want a bunch in their lobby, that's very different because they're not going to argue with you whether it's a $2 coaster or a $2.50 coaster. You're going to say it's a $10 coaster, and they're going to go, yeah, okay, no problem.
Yeah, Paul King said that's what I did, Roger. I engraved glass for pubs, clubs, restaurants, etc.
Yeah. If you go to the more high-end ones, the management there, they're always real receptive to anything they can do to, generate more business. And like I said, the one particular bar that I do sell coasters to, they get 100 at a time. They don't care if people steal them because it's got their bar name on it and stuff, and it's advertising.
It's Roger's in there stealing them so he can make more.
And if you're going to pay, if you're paying $22 for martini, you're damn well deserve to get that coasters.
Yeah. So he takes them home at least.
So that's what I'm saying. Roger steals them, so they call him up. Hey, we need more.
Yeah, he goes in there every day.
Just happen to have 10 of them on the truck.
There you go. One thing I would say, whenever someone asks me like what they should do, I always say, I'm not going to tell you your niche, but you should find a niche.
Yes.
Right. And a niche you're passionate about, not a niche that you're copying. Because then, like Steve said, if you're always looking for the next thing, you're not passionate about it, you lose the passion. You lose the passion, you're just going to fall off. And if you're just copying someone, you're not the latest and greatest, right? You got the leftovers of his sales, right? He already sold everyone in the town, and now you're trying to sell the same thing. And the other thing is that seasonal items, Halloween, Valentine's Day, those type of things, where you can make anything. But I think if you get too generic, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to, like, we keep saying when people ask us what's the best laser to buy, and Steve made a comment one of our first lives, and I say it all the time. I tell people all the time, the first laser you buy is the wrong one. The second laser you buy is the right one. And it's because, and I said, I think that's because when you start watching all these YouTubes, like what you can create with a laser, what you can create with a CNC is like endless. And you're just minds all over the place. And you finally have to get focused, right? And even though there's going to be some things you think like, I can do this, maybe you can, but maybe also your skill set's not there yet. And you will slowly get there, and then you'll come back to it, and it'll be a different, different avenue. But
yeah, and the thing that does sadden me getting back to coasters is that's the first approach people take, right? Is, oh, coasters are easy, so I'll make those and I'll pay for my laser. Well, and Clack can mock me all he wants, but go to Etsy and search for coasters, and you'll find at least 40 or 50 pages of coasters.
Yes.
Right. And you're competing. You might be able to do a better price, maybe a penny or two, but you're competing with all of those people. So there's two problems. First of all, there's a whole bunch of them. But the second thing is the person who wants a set of coasters has to find you in that mess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tough. Right. And so, even if you can make money on a coaster, you're lost in the noise. Right. And I like making things for business, especially build up some business relationships. Like these Lamacoid signs that I make, that's a big chunk of my business, right? Is just making signs for electricians who say, don't push this button, or, the solar shutoff is over here. And it's just good business, and they never argue about the price. So you don't have to try and nickel and dime to get the sale.
Yeah. I want to say that from the rooftops. Like, Etsy is not the place to compete on price. Because it's a race to the bottom. Like, that's not you can't make money that way. It's not. I'm not in business to have razor thin margins. You know what I mean?
Right.
And competing with other people. So competing on price on Etsy is not.
Yeah, I did one video on Etsy. I don't know, it's probably a year and a half, might even be 2 years ago. And one of the examples I used from Etsy was somebody who was selling I think it was like, a handmade solid oak cutting board, but it was like $20, shipping included. And it's like, okay, this guy is not making any money.
Right. But I think, Andy, you kind of hit the nail on the head when we first start talking about doing reviews. Are you going to pay me? Right. And it's like that logic of thinking is that, like, when you first start and you're first starting out, like, it's not a full-time gig. It's a part-time gig. You're making a couple bucks, and any little pennies that you make, it's like you're happy with that. But if at any point in time you want to make that transition, your mentality has to change, right? Because your overhead changes.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And one thing I was going to say, and I don't want to put us on a pedestal. I don't say this to say that, but one thing I come across a lot is like when you are, when it comes to like business sense, right? And I'm not talking about like crazy business sense, but just I think people that have it take it for granted, like just seeing opportunities, whether it's, call it the entrepreneurial, I don't know, but I it's like we do this and we do this and create relationships with, Steve, you said, create good relationships with businesses. Well, I think the average person's like, well, how do I do that? You know what I mean? Like, right. Where we're like, you just walk in and, you strike up a conversation and offer value, lead with value, and say, hey, this is what I can do. And
and it's hard for it's a personality thing too, right?
It is. Yeah.
But for one of the things I've noticed is, you talk to a lot of people who are in the fringes of the business we're in, right? So they want to get into making things and selling them. Most of those people, a high percentage of them, are introverts, right? They'd rather sit in their workshop and pump out 100,000 coasters a year, but they can't sell them because they're afraid to talk to people. Yeah. Well, news for everybody, I'm actually an introvert. It may not seem like it most of the time, but it's something that I spent years kind of conquering, where you could walk in. I still don't like to talk to a lot of people, but I'm still a little uncomfortable walking into some place and saying, "Hey, see this thing I have? You need this, right? And here's what it's going to do for your business." But you just have to work on it, and you're going to get rejected 1,000 times before you get one deal. Right. And the solar thing, the reason I got into these solar Lamicoid signs was because I had solar installed on my house. And I looked at the signs and I went, these things are laser engraved. And the guy said, yeah. And I said, well, here, come and look at my shop, right? And there's lasers everywhere. And I said, I can make these for you. What are you paying for them? And he said, he's paying like $4 a piece for these things. I said, I can make these for you for $1.50 and I can make lots of money. And he said, okay, let's do it.
Boom.
Right. Nice. It was just an opportunity. Good luck is often one of the success factors, right? Just right place, right time.
Steve, to the point, what I think you and Andy are both saying is that to succeed, sometimes you have to fall forward, right? And that is that by walking into your first bar and failing miserably, and it's like job interviews. Yeah. How many job interviews have you done in your life? You get at a job, you're there for a long time, you're 40, 50 years old, and you've probably done 4 job interviews other than when you were a teenager, like real jobs. So you're out of practice. So I wouldn't necessarily probably go after, like, I want to nail this sale. Go to that like slum bar first.
No,
break the ice with that person. Go to a smaller business that maybe when you fail horribly, they see you and them, because they're a smaller business. They're like, I remember that guy. When you go to that high-end martini bar, you better be polished when you walk in there.
Your first big corporate customer can't be IBM, right, or Google or something. It's got to be like Joe's Corner Store, right?
I have a Discord community, and it's free to join. But there's almost 800 people in there now, and we're all doing the same thing, trying to make money with CNC. And I'll have a video coming out in a month or so. But last Thursday, I flew to Massachusetts and to visit one of my top community members. They've been in there for 3 years. They're moderators, husband and wife team, bees boards, and I did a story on them. I captured their story of success with. I don't know if anybody's ever heard, if you're in the Northeast, ever heard of the Big E, but it's a picture like a state fair, but for all of New England, and it's in Springfield, Massachusetts. But anyways, they're set up at this event. It's a 17-day long event. They only did 7 days of it. But it's a 17-day long event. The daily attendance record is 180,000 people, and it's like 1.8 million people attend this event, and they're set up at it to sell. They make game boards, they make cribbage, chess, all CNC game boards. So the reason I share this is they started with 0 experience 3 years ago. Yep, there you go. West Springfield just ended on Sunday. I was there Thursday and Friday. Yeah. And they started with no experience and bought a CNC, and just their attitude is what got them to that place. Like, you have to apply to be in this event. It's not just like an open door. And then you have to be interviewed, and it's this whole big process. And long story short, their attitude is what got them there. And they're saying that they tell each other all the time is, how hard can it be? How hard can it be? Like, an opportunity comes up and they're like, well, we'll figure it. Like, how hard can it be? And it's just one thing after another. And it all started back at the beginning. I guess they have, what is it called? Like what's those really high-end cutting boards? Like a booze board?
Booze boards are
Booze boards.
typically high. Yeah.
They've had this cutting board sitting on their countertop, and it was falling apart. And they were like, one thing led to another, and they're like, I don't want to pay for another one. Let's build one. This was 3 years ago. And they're like, how hard could it be? So they built themselves a cutting board, and then the rest is history. They just did over $15,000 in sales in 7 days. And so I think having that attitude of like, how hard can it be? Yeah, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to, but I'm going to figure it out. Right. And so,
and I think that gets back to your comment about that entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like, I mean, you probably approach things that way. I know I do. It's like, sure, I've never built one of these before, but hey, how hard can it be?
Yeah.
And you just go and make something. And like, I've spent the last week making cabinetry in my workshop. I've never built cabinetry in my life. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, I've got drawers that actually open and they're soft close and they look really nice. And it's like, now I feel like making some of that kind of furniture. And it's well, maybe, but but you need two things, right? You need that positive attitude, like you can't possibly fail, and you need to be willing to work, right? Like hanging a sign, buying a laser and hanging a sign up outside your door doesn't mean you're getting business.
But I would also say it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail.
Well, so fail is the wrong word though, right? You find a million ways to learn something as opposed to one way to fail, right?
I'm going to try to sell this water bottle, and I end up selling beer. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, like, you bought a CNC, you're trying to create something, and if you create something because you're envisioned that this is going to be, because I saw Andy making a bourbon smoker, I'm going to make bourbon smokers. But guess what? That sale sells because the demographic area, that's not going to sell in my area. Like if you live in a whiskey area, you know, a bourbon area, you know, that's kind of stitched into the environment. You know, so like just because and I tell my wife all the time, she's like, that's stupid. I'm like, I don't care what you think. Just because I think it's cool or you think it's cool doesn't mean the customer thinks it's cool. Just think I think it's stupid doesn't mean the customer thinks, you know, like it's what sells, right? So like even if you think like I'm gonna make this and it fails, and like it could be great, like the birdhouse I made. I was so proud of that thing. Oh man, looks so cool. Looks like real shingles. If you're a roofer, you're gonna recognize some things on it that I did, like ridge lines and things like. You would know, what? You really did that? But it didn't sell. It took me like 5 months, I think, for that thing to sell. You know what I mean? I'll never make another birdhouse again. You know what I mean?
That's because you can go to Home Depot and buy one for $10.
Right. Yeah, you know what I mean? So am I gonna make any more birdhouses? Maybe one or two, just have it there just to look. But am I gonna build 50 birdhouses? No. But you know what that did do? That taught me a lot with doing the inlays and the depths and the volume, you know, like, so I learned something from that.
You learned it's a successful failure, right?
Right. So I learned from the process of creating that, but it's okay to fail. Like if I think I'm going to be like, all of a sudden I'm going to make 10 more and all of a sudden they're going to sell, like, no, they didn't sell. Like live, learn, move on.
Well, yeah. So you hit on a couple things there. Certainly hot products are regional. Right. So your work is to find out what works in your region, but you know, getting back to, you know, Andy's bourbon smoker, you know, there's, you know, having run a couple of my own software companies, built and sold things, you learn terms like barrier to entry, right? That bourbon smoker is probably much harder to make, certainly, than engraving a coaster. That's why there's not 43 pages of bourbon smokers on Etsy, right? I don't know how many there are, but it's probably not 43. So you find something that is achievable by you, but potentially difficult for somebody else.
Yes.
And you know, find, you know, and I when one of my sons was graduating, I said, he works in the music industry, and I said, your whole goal is to learn how to do something, one thing that no one else can do, and that will be your ticket, right? And that's kind of the approach I take too, right? It's like there's lots of things. I mean, I talk about a lot of things on my channel. I know Andy does too. You guys all do. But I don't, you know, I can teach people a lot of things, but I'm not going to teach them everything, right? Because there are things that are bread and butter, and those are the barrier to entry things, and they're hard, right? But they're easy for me, or I'm set up to do them. Maybe I've spent 6 months building jigs or whatever, and most people will give up before they get to that point.
Oh yeah.
And those are the things you can make tons of money on.
Then there's some things that are popular in just a certain demographic or geographic area. I mean, you know, you're talking about bourbon smokers. You know, you got to be in an area where there's bourbon bars or whiskey bars. Well, around here, a big thing is in this particular area are porch signs, which are. I got a small one here. This Halloween theme, of course, but these porch signs, people hang them on their porch. And this is a short one here. This one's only like 2.5 feet tall. But, you know, it's not something when you get into the 4 footers, it's not something you can ship easily because it becomes an oversized package and it costs too much. But when you have a local market for them and you can, you know, easily do them on your laser, the cedar fence pickets is what I use. Just like Rick uses them for his pumpkins. I mean, it's a real popular thing. They're popular around here, and I can easily get $30 for one of those signs. But it's not something that you could go out. You know, I wouldn't try to put that on Etsy and then try to ship it. And, no, that's no go there.
I'm gonna use Clayton as an example. Just want a laser from us. He's in Hawaii. If he made anything Hawaiian, and he does some crazy stuff, by the way, and you're on vacation making an impulse buy, you'd probably be more likely to purchase that because you're bringing it home as a gift. It's a momentum. You're going to save forever. This is a cherishable thing. Like, remember when we went on to Hawaii? Because that's probably not a trip that you'd make all the time, right? Maybe a bucket list item, if that, right? But if one of us tried to sell a Hawaiian-based thing, probably never sell.
Starting a new trend, East Coast Hawaiian.
you know what I mean? It's in Chicago. I'm at the you know, at the farmer stand selling Hawaiian items, you know, and he can make a killing doing that. So that's, you know,
if you are there's so many scenarios, there's a million different scenarios, right? And that's why I'll never blanket say like you need to make this, right? Because it doesn't it's not true for everyone,
right?
But if you were in a touristy area, you have a huge advantage.
Yes.
Go knock on all of the souvenir shops, and because I know from experience that these people are constantly looking for things to buy. Like the shop owners are looking for unique things to sell because they're all impulse buys. Go knock on their doors and say, what can I make you? Or come up with some ideas, walk in there and say, hey, you think this will sell in your shop? Because when people are on vacation, they're throwing that money. They're not going to be back most likely. And so they're going to take it home with them. It's
like where I live, it is very touristy. You know, highest tides in the world, for example. And we've got I
think we have a
wine industry here. But so there are tons of souvenir shops here, and those are places. If I wanted to make volume, I would go talk to more of them. But it is an opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
So if anyone's looking for a fridge that heats and cools, that's what he was commenting about. I just banned him from our live.
See you, Evgeny Dakchenko.
Yeah.
Who was that? The lawyer?
Yeah. I'm a lawyer looking for a refrigerator that heats and cools food. Wrong channel, buddy. Sure you are.
But yeah,
funny story about the lawyer. Remember that story, Steve?
Well, I have lots of funny stories about lawyers.
I got an email, Andy, from a lawyer, one of our early on in our lives, and he wrote something along the sides, something about his law firm and the subject, and then his email address from a lawyer firm. And right around that time is when it started going like viral, all these videos about influencers being sued by manufacturers. And I was like, oh God. No, it's a lawyer. He's a legit lawyer, but he's getting into lasers and he had questions and he caught one of our lives. I was like, but I like, you know, you get that not something.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm getting
like, I don't want to open this.
Is there a read reset? You know,
yeah.
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
There you go. See, Halifax is a cool city. I live about 15 minutes from Halifax. A lot of cruise ships come in here.
Oh,
And it's also a NATO naval port, so you get all kinds of Navy people wandering around. But yeah, I mean, a cruise ship comes in, and all of a sudden there's 3,000 people wandering around the city that weren't here 10 minutes ago, right? And those people just spend money like crazy.
Yeah, I just want to
And
say
they
something.
all want something like the Peggy's Cove Lighthouse. It's a very famous landmark. I use a photo of it in my videos a lot. People want that kind of stuff. Why I don't know, but I've been to that lighthouse. It's basically a brick or a concrete lighthouse on top of a big pile of rock, but people love it.
We're an
But
hour
if
and a
your
half into the
goal-
live. We've had a great amount of people join. Great comments. If you guys have comments, definitely leave in the comments. That's what we're here for. But if you haven't already, do us a favor and go ahead and smash that like button. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us all this time. You're hanging out for a while for a reason. So do us that. It does help the algorithm. Go ahead, Andy. What were we gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it. I mean, if our goal is to sell things, if your goal is to sell and make money, it's not your job to ask why someone wants something.
I do not
to try and sell them something that you like, right?
Oh my,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Roger makes Titanic things.
I have made quite a few things for customers, and that's what they want. And, well, they're not satanic, really. They're more pagan than Wiccan. But
Yeah.
I have no problem making those. I don't care what they do with them.
I will not make a Ouija board. No, it ain't happening. I've seen them pretty custom. The people making them, they sell for bank custom Ouija boards.
Yeah,
like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and they don't look that like you said, Roger. You look at Steve. You look at something, you're like, huh? I can do that in 10 minutes. How's
that's
that
the thing,
sell
right?
for $700? You know,
but it's finding those sweet spots, right? Like, I mean, I can make a chess set, like a board, box, pieces, and sure, I can sell it for like $4,000. I only have to make about 10 of them a year, and I've made decent money. But they take hours and hours and hours. Like, if you just want to engrave a Ouija board, even if you do some like nice resin fill or something on it, I mean, it's going to take no time at all, right? And it's basically a thin piece of wood.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, find those niches, and they're out there. They're out there.
Yeah, $700, $1,000 board, and I'm like, are you really serious? But I guess if you were trying to be serious, you'd want. And you pulled that out, and it looks all custom. Maybe it'd look more credible, right?
So part of successful business is figuring out who your customer is, right? Not necessarily. I mean, if you say my customer is anybody, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Right. So I made a comment in a video at one point. It might have been the video actually with the $30 cutting board. I made a comment that I don't sell to people who shop at Walmart. And somebody thought I was being sort of disdainful of people who shop at Walmart. And no, I know why people shop at Walmart. I've been to Walmart. But those people are looking for something very different, right? They're looking for price. They're looking for, how quickly can I get it? Whereas, the people I try to sell to, somebody says, I want a chessboard and chess set. And you go, okay, it's $10,000. And they'll go, yeah, okay. Right. When can I get it? Well, maybe next year. Yep. Okay. Make it happen. Right. Those are the people I want.
Yep.
Because they're less demanding, actually.
Yeah. No, they are. I've said it a lot on my channel, but if you try to appeal to everyone, you'll end up appealing to no one.
Right.
You just get lost. You just get lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the 43 pages of coasters problem, right?
Yep.
And and that, I mean, go to Walmart and you'll see, right? What if you want to sell into that market, you have to make those things, which means your profit margin is tiny.
Yep.
So you have to make a ton of them. Right. And I mean, my coaster gripe was, it would be more economical for me to design a coaster or a set of coasters, outsource it to somebody in China and tell them to ship me a container load of them while I sit at my pool and drink Mai Tais. right?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna make more money doing that than I will if I try to make them myself, because my hourly wage will be about $1 an hour.
But I'm also going to speak on the coaster thing, since we keep going on this coaster adventure.
That's my
that
thing.
you
That's
that you may
my
have
pain point.
different success rates, like it's Father's Day,
Right.
right?
Again,
So then
yes,
you could do something like
momentous
that.
things and seasonal things, that's a different problem, right?
Right.
And yeah, you can make money, and you can make, you can edge up the profit margin on a set of Christmas coasters. But people only use them once a year for a couple of weeks, and then they're gone, right?
Man cave stuff, people pay money for. They don't use them that
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, and that's a different problem. I'm talking specifically about high volume, right? If you want
right.
to think about how many keychains you'd have to make $100,000 profit a year.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Right? You're going to be working 80 hours a week minimum to even come close to half of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's my problem with coaster. You can make money on coasters, but you can make a lot more money doing other things. That's what I like to work on, something that's more artistic, I'll say, and takes longer, but I don't have to make 1,000 of them a year just to make a living.
So something that I saw that's a very unique niche item that has an extremely high profit margin, that is plug exotic wood earrings. So these people that have these plug earrings, they have their larger holes in their ears.
Yeah.
And they will pay $2,000, $1,500 for a pair of earrings.
Those are those big rings that people put in their ears, right? Yeah.
Gauges. So they'll be measured by the inch, and if you look at them by the side, they almost look like a yo-yo. You know how a yo-yo comes in?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's kind of flat. It looks just like a yo-yo, but smaller in diameter. But exotic woods, and they're obviously sanded extremely soft and well, because it's going in your soft tissue. And then but these exotic woods, like this Purple Heart or some of these crazy color woods, or these tiger striping, or they are paying like mega bucks for this. You look at some of these websites, they have like, or you look on Etsy, they'll have like, they're making money. These websites that are selling these exotic, and I know because my ex-brother-in-law owned a tattoo shop, and he's a piercer, and he'd come with these earrings on, and he's like, I just paid $2,000 for this. And I'm like, that's retarded. That's stupid. Why? And I started looking it up, and I'm like, I can't believe that. Like, I could totally make that, but like, I don't want to. Like, it's just not something I'm really interested in doing. But
well, I have a fourth axis on my,
and it's like, tomorrow I'm starting to sell.
I have a fourth axis on my CNC. I can make you a set of those if you want them. Yeah, they'd look good on the live stream.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, like exotic woods and the way they're polishing them, they even do like not the little tiny small gauges, like you said. They sell those $1 million at Walmart. You're talking the larger gauges.
Yeah,
those guys who have 4 or 5 inch holes in their ears, they're pretty serious to do that. They've been stretching their ears to do that.
Yeah, it's just terrifying.
So you talk about like find a niche, right? And I 100% agree. There's a niche out there. Guy is wildly successful at selling in this niche. It was brought up in my community, Discord community, maybe last year. Beware if you Google search it, but his niche is selling BDSM items. So like spanking paddles.
Yes.
It's not my thing, but no judgment here. I'm not going to share my screen, but you can go on Etsy and look for a 14-inch grooved pattern spanking paddle.
So I'm working on them right now, actually, but not spanking. But the Mexicans do like this Aztec. What do they call it? Like it looks just like one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they put like inlay of like Aztec warriors or Mexican symbols.
So that's what I could do with these extra charcuterie boards I got sitting around.
There you go.
No, I've been working on it. I've been trying to do the Aztec calendar, and I've been failing because the level of detail that I want, I haven't got it yet where I want it. But Aztec calendar is pretty. That's a pretty big thing for me to bite off.
Yeah. So this guy, 1,400 sales since
Nice.
2023. He found a niche, and like that's all he makes is wooden sex props.
Well, even those paddles, the same exact paddle that have like the college seniority, whatever, like the 3 letters, it's the same exact thing.
Yep.
Those sell for big bucks. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially because like you graduated 40 years ago and your son's getting you a gift or something. It doesn't have because the 20-year-old kid, do you think he's gonna spend $150 on it? Probably not.
No.
You know what I mean? It's someone who's kind of like thinking back and it's in their man cave and it's sitting whatever.
Well, you're giving me flashbacks of my shop teacher in 8th grade. She had one of them big paddles with holes in it, and I found out one time what that felt like. Of course, they can't do that anymore, but back in the 60s, they sure could. And once you got a taste of that, you didn't act up anymore.
The good old days weren't all that good.
They put the holes in it so the wind would go through it and have the wind resistance.
Yeah, keep the bat speed up.
Yeah.
I also had a teacher with a chalkboard pointer that wasn't afraid to crack you on the top of the head with it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Jeez, do you go to a Catholic school or something?
No, public school. But back then, of course, it never hit you hard enough to actually bruise you or anything, but it would sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good talk today, man. Just really kind of, drilling down on different type of niches and understanding why it's important to have a niche, different ways of presenting yourself to customers, whether it be a face-to-face, business-to-business, and a different approach of business versus being online, whether your own website or using a third-party software like Etsy, that we covered some pretty big topics,
The one thing we didn't, well, I guess we kind of beat around the bush a bit, but when you try to find a niche, and you have to be willing to know when it's not there, right? Like you don't want to be the person hugging the last tree in the forest, right? Like you got to know when to switch. This is, in the tech world of startups, we'd say pivot. You have to know when to pivot to something else, right? Your birdhouse story is a good one, right? Where you build a bunch of birdhouses, good thoughts, good product. No one cared, so you got to be willing to move, right? You can't just keep trying to sell birdhouses.
Yes.
So, because cost of sales to sell your birdhouses that nobody wants goes through the roof, right? It gets really expensive. Yeah, they look fantastic, right? But I don't want one. No offense. It's just like it's a birdhouse. I don't care.
I know.
Yeah.
They look great.
If there's a quote, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing here, but if you're wondering like we talked about all this stuff, like what do I do? Is you get busy creating things and looking for opportunities, because opportunities don't find you when you're just sitting there. So if you find yourself with time to think, none of my opportunities, I've never thought my way to opportunities. Does that make sense? Like it's always when I've been in action and putting one foot in front of the other, where I kind of whether I think about it when I'm acting or think about it after I learned something or think about it after I failed. But it's never just like, what am I going to make today? It's never hit me at that moment.
That's the worst feeling in the world if you ever get to that point. Right?
Yeah, this
where
is
you're
the worst
sitting back
feeling
going, what do I do?
This is the worst feeling in the world, right here.
This is a good question. Refund them.
Yep.
No muss, no fuss. Here's your money back.
With me, it just depends. What market it is, what happened to it. Sometimes if they want a refund, I said, well, then return it, and here's a mailing label, send it back. Well, I don't want to. Well, then you're not going to get a refund.
Yes. Well, yes.
And I've had a lot of those situations. And I've had situations on Amazon where if you sell something on Amazon, anybody can return it for any reason. And I got story after story, but I've received empty boxes back. I received a box of rocks once, which, I mean, you can report it to Amazon and you take a picture of it, send it to Amazon, and you're not out any money, and they'll go after the other person, but it's just a hassle. Now, if something gets shipped to somebody and it obviously got crushed or broken or something like that, yeah, I'll give them a refund or replacement, no problem. If their people are nice about it, most of the time I'll give them a refund to some situation like that. But if they're going to be an ass, they're going to get it right back from this old man.
The context of this question, I think, depends on what it is, right? Like if your volume, you can run into some weird problems, right? But like the kind of people I have for customers, they're like partners, right? Like they're like gold to me. So if they have a problem, here's your money back, right? Or the first option is, hey, is there something wrong? We can fix it, right? Or we can redesign. I don't care. I'd rather redesign something, even if it costs me twice as much, just to know that they're happy. But there's never a hassle, right? Like if somebody came to me and like if I sold them, I mean, I've made cribbage boards too. If you sell them like a $250 cribbage board and they say, I want my money back, give me the board and here's your money, right? No issue.
But so, I think the biggest questions too is like knowing the difference from an unhappy customer versus just flat out being scammed, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I've run into a few of those. Yeah, and as Steve said, when you're in high volume, you're going to run into them. The most notable place to get crap like that is on eBay.
Right, and then also when you are creating something that's of higher value, full custom, make sure that you're on the same page with your customer. When you're going through the design phase and before you even make anything, and it's still just an image. And I know some people don't like showing artwork and doing all that because they get worried about you did all the design and they take it to somebody else and like make this. You get pissed because you spent 3 hours designing something and somebody else made it because so if that's the case, watermark your artwork or do something, but just make sure that, you're on the same page so you don't put yourself in a awkward position. But you can avoid scammers. You can do everything the right way. And unfortunately, there's just going to be people out there, that's just the way they are.
Another thing with returns, if somebody bought something that was the wrong size, they made a mistake, wrong size, send it back. And I'll send you I get it back, I'll send you the size you really wanted in the first place. Same price. It's just, I don't have a problem with those.
Yeah, CL said woodworking. See, he avoids this problem in itself. He charges design fee. So here you go. Here's the design. So for some reason, they decided to go have it made by somebody else. At least he didn't lose out on his time.
Yeah, I do that too. But and that's something that, like, if you design something custom for somebody and you make it and then they say they don't want it, well, you can get a refund for the thing I made you. You're not getting a refund for the design. That's time I invested and it's gone. Right? There's no coming back from that. But that's all usually upfront in the discussion anyway. So
if you're a good customer at Amazon, then you decide to return something, a lot of times they will refund you, tell you to keep the item. I've actually had that happen. Yeah,
I've had that happen too.
Yeah, if it's small price, they'll do that. Because it's cheaper than, like, basically if the cost of the item costs more than the shipping to ship it back to Amazon, they'll just say don't bother.
Yep, he said I do not refund designs or deposits.
Yep.
Yeah, nice to see you, Greg. STL Woodworking found us here.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, so anyone have any questions, let us know. Drop them in the comments below.
We're running out of time. We've got 12 minutes left.
Yeah.
Won't by fast. Time goes by fast when you're having fun. Happy hump day, everybody. It's almost Friday.
Yeah.
Every day's Friday for me.
Yeah, me too. Every day's a holiday. I'm retired.
Yeah. Every night is Friday night, and every morning Saturday morning.
Shoot.
Sounds like a Mr. Rogers song. And you're taking off your shoes. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Well, it's kind of like that when you retire, right? Well, not retire, when you stop working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, I've worked for myself. What do they say? You'll work 110 hours a week to not work 40 hours for someone else.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
Yeah, that's the sad reality is in the business I'm in now, my boss is a real hard ass, and he drives me
He
crazy.
wears a dress.
No, I'm talking about me.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the real boss.
Well, my boss just left the room a little bit ago, so she's not here now.
Andy's
got
married.
bored
He
with
knows
all
how the real
this.
boss works.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
arguments are not worth having. You're like, whatever.
Yeah, there you go. No refunds.
This order was 100 door rounds. I advised no refunds and a 50%.
Yeah, if you're making something that is unique to the customer, like unless you really want to keep them as a customer for something else, you can't refund it. Like something with their name on it, you can't very well refund them for. But you have to kind of look at it and go, was this my fault or is the customer just being a pain?
Yeah. Chris said, thanks, guys, for answering the questions. Found you last week on replay. We'll follow you guys from now on. Good night. Yeah, thanks for
Awesome.
joining us, Chris.
Sweet.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks for
Oh, we
watching.
never answered Steven's question here either. Well,
Was it? Got the vision.
So the Vision's obviously 20 watts. It's a little bigger, but I believe so. When I had a conversation with We Create about the Vista, the first thing did you test? You tested a Vista too, right, Roger?
No, I didn't want it.
Oh, my comment was you're bringing a 10-watt laser to the market, and I said you do realize that people like me spend a whole lot of time on YouTube telling people not to buy 10-watt lasers, right? But they did say they were going to have a 40 or a 20-watt soon. They didn't say what soon meant, but in theory, they already have the 20-watt laser module. They just have to make one fit the Vista. So if these are your options, it depends what you want to do. If you want to do a lot of big stuff, then the Vision's a better laser. But if you just want to cut flat things and maybe turn out a few tumblers, the Vista is actually a really nice laser for that.
So
but I'd really like it to be a 20-watt.
Yeah, so I'm not bashing any of your affiliates, but to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Recreate's sweet spot or selling point is extremely user friendly, easy use software, and a hit the ground running type of laser. And so you're paying a premium price for those key.
It's not even a premium price. Like they're priced well. But yeah, it is designed for first-time laser buyers.
So with
that,
who
want to buy a little upmarket, like they don't want to buy the Andy's $50 laser that he
99.
Sorry,
yeah, say it right.
They want to go a little more upmarket than that.
Yeah.
Typically they're crafters, like they already have something going, right?
Right.
But maybe it's vinyl cutting or something, and they don't really understand lasers. That's the perfect customer for a perfect user for a We Create.
But I think Steve's a little more established and kind of knowing, so I don't know if that would be something that he would outgrow fast.
I don't know if he has a laser. Well, I don't think Steven has a laser yet.
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But I'm saying is he seems like a person who's doing his homework and will be the guy to hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So just know, Steve, like your technical abilities and what you want to advance to. Would it be a laser that you may outgrow? That's all I'm saying. Not saying it's a bad laser. I'm just saying, knowing you've been on almost every single one of our lives. You obviously watch a lot of the videos. You're doing your due diligence. Is it something that you'd outgrow? So that's all I'm saying. To me, you seem like someone who would actually advance fast.
Yeah, well, we've had some offline discussions, and he's exchanged some of his designs with me, and they're cool. Like there's some neat stuff there. So he's already got the design side done, which is, from my perspective, is that's what I want to do with people on my channel, right? Is teach them that you don't have to go to Etsy to buy something; you can design it yourself.
Yes.
And the laser is more or less a tool to make that happen, right? To bring it to reality. So,
and cake toppers are very big business.
Yeah, and a K40 would be just fine for it.
Yeah.
Says, I need to cut acrylic cake toppers. Would a K40 be okay with this? I don't have a lot of spare space and need desktop laser and don't want to spend $1,000 on Omtech or X-Tool. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yep. Any CO2 laser,
Yeah.
honestly. And a
I'll
cake
say-
topper, you don't need like a 3 foot by 2 foot workspace to make a cake topper unless you're making, you know,
Giant cake toppers.
yeah,
Right.
Happy New Year's kind of cakes for people in you know,
Right,
Central
maybe-
Park or something.
Maybe that's your niche. I don't
It
know.
might be.
Giant
one
cake
that the-
toppers.
One of them
And I
cakes
say
the
all the
grill jumps
time-
out of.
Yeah, and I say all the time, you do a search for K40. There's a million people that say the K40. There's a
Yeah.
million different versions of it.
It's become a de facto standard, right?
Right. So I would say the only advantage, and it's not like, oh, because go Monport, but the Monport K40 is like a pre-modded K40. The board's upgraded. The things you're gonna do as soon as you get that thing out of the box and do to it, it already comes like that. The only thing you're probably gonna do, even buying a Monport, is change the gauges. If
Oh,
you're on
yeah,
the state
yeah.
side.
Yep.
If you're on the state side. Now, if you're in Canada or somewhere else, you know, they're speaking your language. But us, we're like, what the hell is this?
Oh, you mean because it's metric?
Yes.
No, no.
Oh my
my
God.
problem was both of the temperature gauges failed in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, because
But
they came with some cheap Chinese watch
Yeah.
batteries that have been
Yeah.
on since they probably manufactured it. So if they worked at all, they didn't work very long. I mean, and again, you could go to Walmart and buy or Amazon and buy those batteries fairly cheap. But just my mentality of thinking, I just can't quickly look at something and like switch, do the conversion. I know you consider yourself bilingual in the metric system.
Well,
But I just
as
couldn't.
far as measurement, yes.
Yeah,
As
I
far as
couldn't.
language,
This
no.
has to go. Like this has to go. You know, that
Oh,
was like day
temperature wise,
one.
I have no problem converting between centigrade and Fahrenheit.
I don't really care what units you want to work in. I can work in any
Yeah,
units.
no.
I
It was
started
gone
school
very-
with imperial measurement, and about halfway through, they said, "Hey, we got this thing called the metric system. Let's use that."
Yeah. No, I installed a power supply, gave myself 12 volts, hardwired them, eliminated batteries, converted, and I was good. You know what I mean? But but you could stay on battery ones and easily clip them out and clip them in. But I think it's definitely a good starter CO2 laser.
We got a few more things here and 3 minutes. So yeah, Stephen, I think the Vision it's a decent laser. I like it. If you felt like going on a 45 hour road trip, you could come from the left coast to my place and you could pick up a 40-watt weak create because I'd like to get rid of it, but it's taking up too much room in my shop.
Watch who you wish for. There's a lot of people. You don't know where people live. You guys heard that, right? Hello, everyone. Hey,
Hey,
Hello.
Mystery. Australia.
yeah, that's
No,
a long
that's-
road trip.
I
I'd
custom
rather go
designed
to
all-
Australia.
And Nancy said, I custom designed all 5 pieces for the door hangers. I have a break in price due to potential repeat business and a large order, $70 per door round. No, that is a great thing. Like
That's
that when
yeah,
you
that's
are,
that's a good margin too.
yeah. But when you're already making a deal, you already made a deal for a second deal already coming in. Repeat business is great.
Yeah. There you go. Everything you need to know about converting. Minus 40 Fahrenheit is minus 40 Celsius.
Yes, it is.
And the real realization there is that it's cold no matter which system you're using.
Clayton said he'll pay the shipping.
Oh my God! It would cost you $1,000 to ship that from my place to Hawaii. You'd be better to just buy one from.
Steve
from-
said shipping. See, there you go. Steve's like, hey.
The real problem is getting it across the border, right? Because it's just a nightmare to do all the paperwork.
Hmm.
As soon as you put laser on the customs form, they're going to go, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Red
right.
flag.
Is it that crazy?
It can be. I've actually got a laser hung up in customs right now.
Mm.
It's been there for a week, and I know it's because they put some kind of crazy term on it, like
Put like tool.
Well, I ordered 5 kilos of DTF powder, it pretty much looks like vacuum sealed cocaine. And I thought for sure that I was gonna get problems, and it came through like nothing. But yet they opened every single one of my ink containers. I'm like, you do know DTF ink is water soluble ink, right? So when you broke the seal, junk.
Yeah, they don't care.
No.
You know, but yet the powder, no big deal. 5 kilos, no problem. Even the shipper was like, "Are you sure you want to order 5 kilos?" I'm like, "That's the only way it's worth it, like to buy in bulk, because the amount of shipping costs shipping overseas."
Does it come in like a big white cube wrapped in
1
like
kilo,
saran
yeah,
wrap?
1 kilo, yeah, yeah.
Well,
and
Rick,
a
I'll
big-
tell you, when you go to Mexico, do not take any Sudafed with you.
Oh, I didn't
It
think
is
of that
illi-
because
It is a controlled substance. It's illegal. Anything
didn't
with
think of that.
epiphedrine in it in Mexico is a no-no.
you know, good thing you said that, because I take allergy medicine every day, every morning. It's part of my normal regimen, right?
Now, if it's prescription and it's in the original prescription bottle, it's okay. But like over-the-counter, like Sudafed, anything with epiphedrine in it, it's absolutely forbidden.
So I did see now that if you bring 2 electronic devices, they charge you the taxable sales tax on that item. So some executive from New York flew to Cancun, and she had an iPad and a laptop. And they said, you can only bring one. They're like, what do you mean? And she said, well, one or the other. Well, I need them both. Okay, well, then you have to pay the sales tax. And the iPad was like a 5-year-old iPad, and they charged her the sales tax on a brand new iPad. So she paid a tax, which was probably more than the thing was worth. But she wanted her iPad.
Yeah, there's regulations about that, and of course, cigars and cigarettes and alcohol and that type of thing. Obviously, firearms you're not going to get away with, but yeah, electronic devices, cell phones don't count. But I take a tablet and a laptop. But
Yeah, I brought a
there are
drone.
2
in Mexico.
adults. There's 2 adults, so it's 1 per person.
Yeah, I bought a
Wow.
drone in Mexico, and I was a little nervous because Mexico, right? There's no real laws. It's you get the wrong person, you just have to pay them, and that's it. Or
Yeah.
they're just gonna take it. So I was so nervous. They opened it up and they looked at it, and they're like, "Why are you bringing this?" I'm like, "I'm on vacation. I thought it'd be cool to shoot some video footage on the beach." They're like, "Are you a video photographer? Do you do this for a living? Is that why you're here?" I'm like, "No, I'm on vacation with my family." They're like, "Okay, close it up and just get right back to me." So I think that's what they're doing, though. Like, if you're going there to make money off Mexico, they want a piece of the pie.
I had a big problem getting through customs when I flew to Ramos for work. I have non-disclosure thing. I can't say who it was for, but I got stopped in customs as they went through all my luggage and found all of my tools. What are you doing with all these electrical tools? And I had to explain all that. I got to finally keep them, but it took almost 2 hours to get through all that.
Crazy.
Cool.
Sounds like
Thanks.
Mexico is a problem. If you want to go to the beach, come to my place. You can buy a bag of weed at the
Yeah.
airport on your way out.
I just
but
think
it's only-
Mexico's realizing people are going there, making a boatload of money and leaving, and they don't even own majority of the coastline. It's owned by United States Air Force pilots. They want a piece of their own pie. Like, you left us a desert, in the part people actually come here to visit. The tourist money is owned by people from the United States and going back to the United States. So maybe they're just angrily, hostilely taking it back.
I mean, I didn't take Mexico for having strict drug and gun laws. But
No, I know. Yeah, when I'm on the beach, every other person's trying to sell you weed.
right.
That's for sure. Yeah,
Ganja.
yeah. But
Hey, that Cuban cigars that aren't Cuban, but
yeah. What are you gonna do? When you give them as a gift and you come back, they look cool anyways. They don't know.
Just put it in a laser engraver and engrave Cuban on it.
Made
There
in
you go.
Cuba.
Made in Cuba.
All right, guys. Looks like right at time. I just wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. We had some great discussions. I do see our lives growing, and I appreciate before we even start the lives, people are already in the lives, making comments and waiting for us. So that's very good. Do keep in mind we do have another laser giveaway coming. And as always, if there's anything we haven't covered, leave it in the comments. Even if it's after the replay, we still do look at this comments. Each one of us will get notifications. So we can come back and respond. And if it's something we haven't covered or we haven't covered because we don't have, let's be honest, manufacturers are watching these videos as well. So it may give an opportunity for us to be able to review those types of items that you're asking for that we're currently not have. That was my close. You guys want to say anything here before we get out of here?
No.
No,
I like this.
see everybody next week.
Yeah. I like this kind of discussion. I'm happy to talk about the business.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yep.
So, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for everyone for coming.
Yeah. See you all next week.
See you next
All right.
week, guys.
See
Bye.
ya.